A strong young man at a construction site was bragging that he could outdo anyone in a feat of strength. He made a special case of making fun of one of the older workmen. After several minutes, the older worker had enough.
"Why don't you put your money where your mouth is?"
said the old man.
"I will bet a week's wages that I can haul something in a wheelbarrow over to that building that you won't be able to wheel back."
"You're on, old man," the bragger replied. "Let's see you do it." The old man proceeded to reach out and grabbed the wheelbarrow by the handles. Then, nodding to the young man, he said,
"All right, get in."
A missionary has spent years showing a tribe of natives how to farm and build things to be self-sufficient. One day, he gets word that he is to return home. He realizes that the one thing he never taught the natives was how to speak English, so he takes the chief for a walk in the forest. He points to a tree and says to the chief, "This is a tree." The chief looks at the tree and grunts,
"Tree."
The missionary is pleased with the response. They walk a little farther and the padre points to a rock and says, "This is a rock." Hearing this, the chief grunts,
"Rock."
The padre is really getting enthusiastic about the results when he hears a rustling in the bushes. As he peeks over the top, he sees a couple fooling around behind them. The padre is really flustered and quickly says, "Riding a bike." The chief looks at the couple briefly, pulls out his blowgun, and kills them. The padre is shocked by this as he has spent years teaching the tribe how to be civilized and kind to each other. "Why did you do that?" he screams. The chief looks at him and replies,
"My bike."
Juan was the best oyster diver in his small seaside village. One day, he found an injured sea otter and nursed it back to health. From the moment the grateful otter was able to walk, it never left Juan's side. It even learned to dive for oysters and to bring his catch back to Juan. Their combined oyster harvest was so successful that he developed a reputation all along the coast. One day, a man arrived at Juan's house looking to hire him for the week. His wife answered the door.
"Sure,"
said his wife.
"It will cost you $500.
"That much?" replied the prospective client.
"But you're getting my husband and his otter,"
explained his wife.
"They can harvest more oysters than anyone else in town."
"I just want one," the man countered. "I'll hire him alone for $350.
"Sorry,"
she shrugged.
"You cannot have one without the otter."
Little Johnny's parents wanted to have some alone time together. So, they sent Johnny out to the porch with an ice cream cone. Not wanting the boy to finish too quickly, his mother came up with an idea to keep him distracted.
"While you were eating that,"
she said,
"watch the neighborhood and tell us everything interesting you see."
A few minutes later, Johnny's parents heard him yell his first report.
"The Hendersons got a new car." "That's great,"
answered his mother.
"Keep looking."
More time passed, and Johnny shouted again.
"The Smiths are planting flowers."
"Good job,"
responded his father.
"Keep looking."
Another minute went by, and Johnny called out for a third time.
"Mr. and Mrs. Johnson are having sex."
Johnny's parents abruptly stopped their own activity. Shocked, his mother asked,
"Johnny, how do you know that they're having sex?"
Little Johnny replied,
"Because Billy Johnson is eating an ice cream cone on their porch."
A Texan goes to Toronto for a vacation. He grabs a cab at the airport and tells the driver he's on his way to the Royal York Hotel. As the cabbie heads downtown, he passes Queen's Park.
"What's that?"
asks the Texan. "Oh, that's Queen's Park," says the cabbie. "It's our provincial government. It's like your state government. Those buildings are almost 200 years old, and they're quite big."
"Well,"
brags the Texan, We have buildings much older than that and at least twice as large. They continue along and pass the first Canadian place. Holy cow, says the Texan. What's that? Why, that's the first Canadian place. It's the biggest office complex in the country, says the cabbie. It took almost 4 years to build. Really? Says the Texan. Why, in Houston, they have buildings twice as big and built in less than half the time. As they continue, the cabbie is starting to get a little miffed by all the bragging. Soon, they drive past the CN Tower. Now, the Texan has his head out the window looking up at the 1,800-foot tower with a rotating restaurant. Holy cow, says the Texan. What in the world is that? How long did that take to build? The cabbie nonchalantly glances out the window and says, Heck if I know. It wasn't there yesterday. On the outskirts of a small town, there was a big, old pecan tree just inside the cemetery fence. One day, 2 boys filled up a bucket full of nuts and sat down by the tree, out of sight, and began dividing the nuts. One for you, one for me. One for you, one for me, said one boy. Several dropped and rolled down toward the fence. Another boy came riding along the road on his bicycle. As he passed, he thought he heard voices from inside the cemetery. He slowed down to investigate. Sure enough, he heard, one for you, one for me. One for you, one for me. He just knew what it was. He jumped back on his bike and rode off. Just around the bend, he met an old man with a cane hobbling along.
Come here, quick,
said the boy.
You won't believe what I heard. Satan and the Lord are down at the cemetery dividing up the souls.
The man said,
Beat it, kid. Can't you see it's hard for me to walk?
When the boy insisted, though, the man hobbled slowly to the cemetery. Standing by the fence, they heard, one for you, one for me. One for you, one for me. The old man whispered,
Boy, you've been telling me the truth. Let's see if we can see the Lord.
Shaking with fear, they peered through the fence, yet were still unable to see anything. The old man and the boy gripped the wrought iron bars of the fence tighter and tighter as they tried to get a glimpse of the Lord. At last, they heard, one for you, one for me. Okay, that's all. Now let's go get those nuts by the fence and we'll be done. They say the old man had the lead for a good half a mile before the kid on the bike passed him.